No, I'm sure we all know someone who's notorious for overpacking when traveling. He or she is that person likely to get told by the check-in agent at the airport that their suitcase is way over the weight limit. He's probably, or she or he, is probably that person you see making every futile attempt to fit their oversized luggage into one of those sizers, before you get in line. And we just stand there and shake our heads as their delusion come into play. Well, today's gospel presents us with a similar scenario about extra baggage and fitting, using the images of a camel and a needle. Jesus tells us quite clearly or vividly really, that it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. That's a pretty strong statement. Imagine a camel, big, awkward, and a bit lumpy, trying to squeeze through the tiny eye of a needle. It's almost comical when you picture it. But what does Jesus really mean by this? Is he saying that we have to give up everything we own to follow him? Or is there a deeper message here? When Jesus talks about the camel and the needle, he's really challenging us to rethink what we value. It's not about our bank accounts, but about our hearts. Wealth in itself isn't bad, it's a blessing. But when it becomes our only security, or when it takes the place of God in our lives, then we've got a problem. St. Bernard knew this well. He lived simply, not because he despised wealth, but because he wanted to keep his heart free to love God fully. And that's the secret. The more we let go what holds us back, well, the more room we have for God's grace. Now you might be thinking, well, but Father Larry, I'm not a monk like St. Bernard, and I'm definitely not giving up my morning coffee or my favorite chair, and that's okay. Jesus isn't asking us all to live in, we're not being asked to live in a monastery, okay? That's not what he's asking. But he is inviting us to look at what's weighing us down, whether it's material things, pride, or worries, and to consider how we might lighten our load. Maybe it's about being more generous, being more forgiving, or more trusting in God's plan. The key is to remember that God's grace can do what seems impossible. If he can help a camel through the eye of a needle, well, he can certainly help us through the narrow gate to his kingdom. So as we go about our week, let's keep that image of the camel and the needle in mind, not as something daunting, but as a reminder of God's humor and his invitation to trust him more. And let's ask St. Bernard to help us grow in humility and in the freedom that comes from trusting God above all else. And if you happen to be traveling soon and begin your packing, best to leave your blender or waffle iron and blow dryer at home. Really, let go of excess baggage and embrace the journey ahead with openness and joy.
Thank you for joining us today. Our digital ministry provides a valuable service to parishioners and visitors alike. How wonderful that we can share God's Word, the celebration of the Eucharist, and other important words and events with those who may not be able to be with us in person. If you would like to support this effort, please go to olphglenview.org, click on the gold donate button, and then the Sunday giving icon to make a contribution on our secure online giving portal. We sincerely appreciate your past and ongoing support. Thank you for helping us continue this ministry. God bless.